And this is kind of my happy moment. Every year in May, we graduate students. And as you can see, we have not only several graduating, we even have future PhD students sitting here. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. The last 2 years, I have my first PhD student who is the son of one of my past PhD students. Sisters, I had several, one brothers, I have a couple. Okay, so going very rapidly here because we don't have a lot of time, I want to show you this idea, which I think is very important. And this will about technology. You can now put tags on inventory items. And with these tags, you can literally just use technology to count inventory. You don't need people to do that. And you can do that every year. And then if you have interest, you can do it every month, every day, every second. And then you can link these RFID tags to when the inventory comes in. And then you can link it when the inventory goes out. And now you have management of your inventory, maybe even the basis of some cost accounting. And then you can manage this. And then you link it to your clients, you link it to your suppliers, and then you have the kind of an ecosystem of the supply of your inventory, of your movement of inventory. You can identify when things come and go. But at this moment, things change slowly. And this is evolving. The common linkages are not there anymore yet. But of course, they are going to bring tremendous efficiencies with electronic and non-electronic items. And then this idea of Internet of Things is going to transform tremendously measurement and accounting and, of course, auditing. And associated with the linking the suppliers, linking the customers, you have this whole set of things that is the Internet of Things to measure. And you could put a blockchain sharing data between your company or your entity and your customers and your suppliers. This is just too aggressive at this moment for people to really think in that way and share data, but will be coming reasonably soon. So the one thing I do this with my PhD students regularly is I talk about exogenous variables. And basically, I think that traditional accounting and traditional auditing will be substantially supplemented by external variables. Things like weather data, social media, and billions of IoT pieces of data will be supplementing reports that we have today. And will change our business model. This is a prediction that by next year, we are going to have 27.1 billion IoT devices. And the question is not, will be data. I always tell my students, forget about privacy. It's gone. But don't worry too much. You are not very interested. And just to give you an example, this is just part of what Google has. Has Google Search, they have Mail, they have Calendar, they have Hangouts, they have Cloud, they have Play, they have Nest, measuring entrance, exit, and cameras in your house. They have YouTube, and they will have games, and they have many other things. So the generic idea of thinking that Google doesn't know a lot about you is very primitive. And this is going to be the future. There is positives, there are negatives. Negatives as privacy and the world as we know. Positive is a lot of good things, a lot of efficiencies are going to evolve. And the moment this data can be linked to some semi-intelligent devices, they'll create tremendous functionality. And the one thing that people don't realize today is how much data is out for sale. I put these slides here, and I'm going to go through them, and my slides are always public, so I will email the slides, and you can all have the slides. You would see how much data about anyone or anything exists already. And of course, this is exploding exponentially. So, because we only have 10 more minutes, let me just talk a little bit about AI and auditing. We basically have 4 categories of AI projects. Any one of you that are interested can try to join our PhD program, but can also send me an email, and I can connect you during our seminar, like every Friday, 10:30 US time. We have a seminar with some PhD students or faculty showing what they are doing. And we have done a lot of things. We have every Friday meetings about ESG and applying AI into ESG. And we do a lot of things in machine learning, like predicting the fault for going concern opinion, looking at outlier detection, looking at financial statement audits. And now we are totally charmed by GPT technology. So in addition to the natural language processing, we are mixing it with GPT. And by the way, I am not so worried about GPT giving bad answers, etc. I always tell my students, you should use the most recent, the best technology available. And the idea that you can't use ChatGPT, you can't use search, you can't use Excel, that you can't use calculator is something very obsolete that some faculty do. But I want my students to use it. But I tell them you're responsible to what GPT generates. And then this whole idea of RPA, robotic process automation, is very exciting. I call it second level automation. And what that basically do, if you do a lot of things that had keystrokes that are repetitive, you are able to automate it and not have to keystroke again, or keystroke very little. And so now our AI application has this data layer, has a technology layer, and this is what we work on the applications. And I always say this, focus on emerging things, use Gen AI, and see what will be available, what will be forthcoming. And so just to give you some ideas of this, we have a machine learning model that can do going concern predictions better, like 30 or 40% better than CPA firms can do. We can predict discontinuity of not-for-profits. And this is something very interesting that you might want to give it a look. Explainable AI. AI, particularly neural networks and recursive neural networks, are very difficult to interpret what they are doing. So there is this whole field with the Shapley model that basically looks at what the AI did and tells you what the loadings are, explains what it is. Okay, and then we are now totally in love with natural language processing with GPT. And every single one of my PhD students is doing 1 or 2 papers with GPT, and of course we can share them with you. Okay, we have a very good opportunity now. We have been working with the Government Financial Officers Association, and so we are going to be doing with a community in California. We are going to do a continuous audit, like I mentioned before, but now with AI, and we are going to try to create a real-time report for the municipality, which is very exciting. Okay, I put this here to give you this address. And this is a dashboard we have on our website, Rutgers Accounting Web. And if you click on any of these, they will basically give you PowerPoint about this project. And if there is a paper, there'll be a paper that you can download. Okay, and this is a paper that just was completed. One of my PhD students, Han Chi, who just completed, and he just moved back to Shanghai, and it's basically showing all the different things, or not all the things, some of the things that you can do co-piloting auditing. Very interesting paper, have been accepted partially into a journal because the dissertation have 3 of these. One of them have been accepted. And then the other thing to mention, I'm not rushing here because I won't run this, is that the big CPA firms are all invested in Gen AI. PwC, KPMG, EY, Deloitte, and we are talking about billions of dollars of investment, but mainly in the consulting area, less in the audit area. And I'm going to skip this because I'm running out of time here. And I actually find it very interesting. Mark Ehrlich from German have done this paper, and he basically used ChatGPT to take the CPA exam. And ChatGPT did, after some training and some prompting, did very, very well in the CPA exam. And this kind of brings me to what I always tell my students about this. In the age of Google, why do you need to memorize all these rules? And we have to talk with the standard setters to rethink what really an accountant needs to know. And I put here on this slide some of our GPT large language model projects, and you see there are many of them. Everyone is doing 1 or 2 of projects. And then we started thinking about how auditing will be affected by AI. There is this paper by Abdullah Mahdi, and he basically went step by step about what auditor does and kind of classified things into structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. And basically, we'll see a shift of the nature of the task that an accountant does. And the problem is that standards change very slowly, and inspectors don't really like too much innovation because they don't understand it. And so standards will hold back change, and that's bad for business, and is bad for the development of technology. Concluding, many things now are being called AI. In general, the useful ones are narrow focus approach to resolve a particular problem with very clear functionality. That's why I say it's not intelligence, it's functionality. What can be performed? The evolution of capabilities of integrated, redundant, enormous storage and computational power will facilitate evolution, but the demand is exponential. What am I saying here? I guided the dissertation of a lady in Finland in 2001, meaning 23 years ago. And she was doing a neural network. And the neural network had 1 entry layer, 1 exit layer, and 1 hidden layer. Now you work with 1,000 hidden layers, and computing power is 1,000,000 times bigger. And that's really what gives you the capabilities, the abilities to do the incredible things that you can do today. Now, GPT technology is actually the thing that will be more noticeable, because GPT will basically interface with many pieces of software. And the most exciting thing about GPT, for an academic like me, or I think for many people, is that it will basically reduce boring tasks, repetitive writing, etc. And in the other domain, is going to substantially reduce the difficulty and the complexity of coding. So programming in Python, programming in some languages will be substantially facilitated. And I already see this in my students who basically link common code that they pick up somewhere with GPT queries and do marvels with it. And, for me to program, let's say, a linear program would take me a week in Fortran 30 years ago. Now my students have a module in Python and they just bring it in 1 second. So think of functionality, not general intelligence. And in auditing or in accounting, it will have very strong influence. Actually, I've seen a study that says that legal and accounting are the ones that are going to be the most affected in the near future. Just to finish up, I was talking with the SEC, Security Exchange Commission in the US, and the one gentleman there, I spent a week there, a gentleman said, go into Avenue H and Street 40, I can't remember, and look, and I saw this, and this, I was very, very happy. My daughter's film is being advertised all over Washington, D.C., in front of Nat Geo, and then she wins an Oscar. And this is my granddaughter enjoying the Oscar, and I was taking my grandson to the bathroom instead of seeing the delivery. Thank you very much for inviting me. I am sorry I didn't go in a lot of technical detail, but I only had half an hour. I forgot to say one more thing. My email address is Miklos, like my first name, V, like my last name, Miklos V, @Rutgers.edu or at yahoo.com. So I'm very, very easy to reach. I'm not very good with telephone calls, but I'm very good at answering emails. Very happy to share my slides with you, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you very much for your inspiring.
Bye.
Goodbye, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable contributions. Our foundation has made a sapling donation in behalf of your name. So we will send you the donation certificate as well as the participation certificate in your email address. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much for hosting me, and I'm very happy that my internet worked. Bye.
Same. Goodbye, sir.